Hey guys, this video is to show you how to work through Tinkercad to make your 3D base for your light up sign. So let's get started. Right now you can see I already have Tinkercad open. I'm going to go ahead and click on designs and I'm going to make a new 3D design. I'm going to move myself up. So once you're in here, there's a couple things I'm going to want you to do to make sure everything's set correctly. First, let's go ahead and change that name. So go ahead and make it 3D base. Ooh, 3D base. And then put your last name. So I will do Singer. And this is the second time I'm doing it, so I'm going to put a little 2 there. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to settings. I'm going to make sure in settings I have inch as my default. And then presets, we're going to do 3D, 3D45 because that's the printers we're going to be using. Hit make default and then click off the screen and there you go. Last thing, make sure our snap grid is at 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is the base part, the bottom part. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to move myself again all the way over here. So we're going to pull out a box. And I'm going to turn the board or the workspace so I can see the length of it. I'll kind of move up here. And then what we're going to do is we are going to make a long box. The length of the box, remember you click in that corner node and then click on the number. This is going to be 8.25. Tab 3, looking at my notes, 3.5. And then the height, we click on the center node, and we're going to make that 1.75. Okay, so there's a nice big box. So as a reminder to you guys, you can stop this video at any time and rewind so you can get these parts to look exactly the same. That's the whole point of the video. So if you need to stop at any time and rewind, do whatever, make this video interactive for you. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to cut out a chunk. So our next step is we are going to make another box, but this time we're going to use one of these shadow boxes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make the length the same exact length of the box we just made, so 8.25. I click tab, and I'm going to make the width of it 2 inches. And then I'm going to make the height 1.375, which is also 1 3/8 of an inch. There we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to align these two pieces. So instead of trying to figure it out and move them, by hand, we're going to use our little tricks. So I'm going to hit Control A with the keyboard and then L, and that gets us our alignment. I want to align both of these to the front, and I want to align both of them to the top, just like that. Okay. The last thing we have to do is align them to the proper front, which I didn't do, which is that little tab there. So top, front, make sure that they're centered down the middle. And now you can see that the shadow sits in the top corner, which is what we want. So I'm going to click off so those little dots go away. I'm just going to highlight it and do Control G, or you can click this little icon up here that says group. And there we go. We took a chunk out. So I'm going to move this over a little bit. So the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to add a trench to our piece. So to make the trench, this is where the LED lights are going to go on your base, and then the little component piece where the power comes into. So we're going to make 2 small boxes, 2 shadow boxes. So let's go ahead and bring a box out. We're going to click in the corner node of this one. And I always like to start with the length. So the length with this will be 0.75, 3/4 of an inch. Tab, we're going to make this one 5/8 of an inch, which is 0.625. Enter. And then the height of this box is going to be 0.375, which is 3/8 of an inch. All right. Bring on another box. We'll put it right in front of it. This one's going to be longer. This one's going to be 8 inches long. Tab. We're going to do 3/8 of an inch wide with this one. So that's 0.375. And then we're going to make the height 1/4 of an inch, 0.25. There we go. 2 long pieces. So now what we're going to do is you're going to click on the long piece, and I always like to use the arrows. We're just going to arrow in till the 2 pieces are inside each other, just the littlest amount. So when I zoom in, you can see how these 2 are zoomed in together Not a lot, just a little bit, just 1/8 of an inch. That's perfect. So I'm going to highlight these two pieces so they're highlighted together. And then I'm going to click L again to align them. All I want to do is I want to align down the center so they are centered together. And you can see that's all centered together now. So I'm going to highlight these two pieces again, and I'm going to Control G or use the button up here to group them. There we go. All grouped together. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use the arrows to bring our boxes in. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the box that we just created, the shadow box. And using the arrows, I'm going to make sure everything lines up. And I'm going to move the box all the way till it meets that crease in the piece. Okay. And I do that to make sure it's lined up perfectly where I want it to be. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use the tabs. We're going to tab back 1/8 of an inch just one time so that we have 1/8 of an inch of a gap there between this wall and the shadow box we made. Then we're going to grab this black little node that looks like a triangle, and we're going to pull it up 1/8 of an inch. Again, our snap grid is set at 1/8, so that means when I move it, it's going to move it 1/8 of an inch up. And there we go. So you can see our trench goes all the way across, just barely scraping the top, and our other piece is here. That's how we want it. So we're going to highlight everything again, and we're going to group it. And now when we group it, you're going to see that it gives a trench. There's a little gap there. And that's where we're going to run our LED lights through after we print this with the 3D printer. Okay, we're halfway there. Living on a prayer. All right, move that over so we have all our space here. Next thing we're going to make now is the second piece. So these are going to be two pieces that you're eventually going to be gluing together. So let's bring out another long box. Okay, we'll hit that little node in the corner. And for this one, I have it being the same exact length as the other big piece, 8.25. Click Tab. We don't want it to be an inch thick. We want it to be 3/4, 0.75. Then we're going to make this a little taller than 1 inch. We're going to make it 1 3/4 or 1.75. There it is. Nice, long, tall rectangle. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to make a little sliver gap. And the gap's going to go in here. I was going to point on the screen, but you can't see me pointing. So we're going to put a center gap. That's where the LED acrylic piece is going to stick in, and the lights go up underneath it. So let's bring a shadow box out. Okay. The shadow box is going to be long, but not as long. We're going to make it 8 inches long, so just a little smaller. Tab. And we're going to do about 3/20 of an inch, which is 0.15. Okay. So real skinny. And then the height we're going to change to 1 3/4. So we want it to be the same, 1.75, same as this box. Okay, so we're going to do some aligning. So I'm going to highlight these two pieces and click L. I want to make sure they're aligned to the center and the center. So when I click the center circle there and I click the center circle here, you'll see now that it's right in the middle. If we highlight it and group it, Control G, you'll now see that we have a gap in it, which is what we want. Okay, one more piece to go. We're almost there. What we want to do is we want to get rid of the center piece at the top. So we're going to cut out another gap. Okay. So last one here that we're going to make, we're going to make this one 8 inches long as well. So same as the piece we just made. Tab 0.3. So 0.3 or 3/10 of an inch, which should cover the gap up here to get rid of the rest of that. And then the height for this one is going to be a little shorter. It's going to be 1.125, 1 1/8. And then we just need to align these two. So we highlight just these two pieces and click L for align. So go ahead and watch here as I show you where we're going to align it. We want to align it to the top. So move it up. We want to align it to the front. So we move it over here. And now you can see that it's right across. And the last thing we got to do is align it to center. And now you can see if I get this out of the way. Now you can see that it sits nicely. I can even zoom in on that piece so you can see it there. And that's exactly how we want it. But to make sure it doesn't move on us, I'm going to click off. And now we're going to click highlight the two pieces again and Control G. So we group it, and there you go. We have our top piece. So like I said, after it's 3D printed, you're going to glue this together. And that's how it's going to work. So to make sure this works really well when we go to 3D print it, Mr. Harris and I will take care of that for you. we want you to make sure the two pieces are lined up right next to each other and just a little gap in between them. Doesn't have to be a big gap. This makes it a lot easier to print. Okay, so then what do you do with this piece? Well, you're going to have to submit this. Okay, we want you to be working on the desktops in the classrooms. So now the next step to do is we're going to download this so you can submit it to us. So you're going to click export, and you're going to export it as an STL file. And you'll see that it will save on the computer. So then you're going to submit this on Classroom. So I'm going to open up a class that we have that's making this right now. And I'm going to go to classwork, and I'm going to find the project we're doing. Here it is. And we have a document that says link submit 3D base. It's a Google form. It's not too hard to fill out. I'm going to put my name, Brad. Everyone thinks it's Mr. That's really my first name. Let's do this for 8th grade, and let's do this for block 5. Today is a day 1, and then I get to pick the color I want to do. Okay, I am going to choose black. Sounds like a nice color. I'm going to click Add File, and this is where you then go on to here, and we're going to browse in our downloads because that's where the download files go. There's my example one that I did with the 2. It's going to download it on there and click Submit, and we're done. So from here then, Mr. Harris and I will get all these files sent, and we'll put them on the 3D printer for you, and we'll print them. And then after you guys finish the laser engraving certification and you make your signs, we're going to assemble all these together. So if you got any questions, don't forget to ask myself or Mr. Harris, and have fun building this.